Half. Half of the pull requests that get merged at a $44 billion company are now started by an AI agent. And the engineers there didn't lose their jobs, they started shipping faster than everyone else. One of them typed fix all our import cycles into a terminal, walked away, and the code got merged. And yesterday, their bosses sat down with the creator of Claude Code and explained on camera exactly how they run it.
I told Fable to fix all our import cycles. I also told it to make our app lazy. So the app boots up and it's an enormous amount of Python modules. And Fable made a lot of progress in both of these. A lot of this code was merged.
So here's the deal. I pulled the 8 operating rules out of that conversation. And by the end of this video, you'll have all 8, plus the exact steps to run this playbook on your own code base tonight. And because most of us don't have a fintech budget, I ran every demo you're about to see on Sonnet, the cheaper Claude model, not the frontier one. It still works. The company is Ramp, corporate cards and expense software, valued at $44 billion as of June, with over $1 billion in annualized revenue. Their agents write code, review code, watch production, and root cause incidents. Their AI on-call assistant has been running since February. And at this point, more agent sessions are kicked off by automations than by human beings. Austin Ray and Rahul Sengottuvelu run this machine, and Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, sat down with them to compare notes.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, we're seeing something similar. So more inspect sessions are coming from automations than humans at this point.
Yep.
And so
Rule 1, and they call it the most important bet they made. Build for the model that ships in 3 to 6 months, not the one you have today. Every clever workaround you build around today's model becomes technical debt the moment a smarter model drops. Ramp kept ripping out scaffolding because the models kept outgrowing it. So now, when something almost works, they don't build a harness around the weakness. They ship the simple version and wait, because by the time you finish building the workaround, it might already be obsolete.
And I think we've tried to build for what comes 3 to 6 months later down the line, because sometimes when you're playing catch up and you're building for what's available today, it might already be too late by the time you ship. And so
Rule 2. Treat the agent like a coworker, not autocomplete. Their internal agent, called Inspect, gets the same tools a human product engineer gets: GitHub, Slack, Linear, Datadog, Sentry. And you can hand it a support ticket, a GitHub issue, or a production error right from Slack, the same way you'd tag a teammate. Which forces Rule 3, say what you want, not how to do it. Ramp calls their prompts declarative. Implement this feature, fix this bug, help this person. Because the moment you dictate the steps, you've capped the agent at your own ability. Rule 4 is the mental model worth tattooing on the wall. Loops are for work you repeat, and dynamic workflows are for work you can't predict. Boris runs a loop that babysits his pull requests. It fixes the CI and rebases them over and over. And he has a routine that hunts dead code every single day. That's a loop. One repetitive task on Rails. But when the steps are unknown, like make our CI faster, that's a dynamic workflow. The agent spawns a team of sub-agents, plans the attack, verifies its own work adversarially, and keeps going. A workflow like that took Ramp's CI from an 18-minute median to 6 minutes. It even scheduled itself to come back the next day to check real production data and showed a chart when it was done.
So loops are kind of like repetitive work, and dynamic workflows are like dynamic work. Like you don't exactly know what the steps are ahead of time. Like I use a loop, for example, for babysitting my pull requests to like fix CI and rebase them automatically. But then I use dynamic. And so you just tell Claude, use a workflow, and Fable does it. Just yesterday, it actually reduced our CI time from, I think, 18-minute P50 to 6-minute P50.
wow.
And it just like
If these rules are already saving you time, hit subscribe because it's free. And if you want to back the work, hit join here or the supporter button on Facebook. Now, the guardrails that make all of this safe. Rule 5. Guardrails aren't the opposite of autonomy. They're what pays for it. Ramp's security team built the network policies and issues the keys. And the trick is beautifully boring. The agent gets a read only service key. Give the model everything it needs and nothing more. And suddenly, you can afford to hand it real agency because the worst case is already contained. Old fashioned hard controls, principle of least privilege, the boring security basics are exactly what let the agents run wild safely. Rule 6: when an agent fails, don't stare at benchmark scores. Read the trace. In their words, there's usually a correct trace. The command the model should have run and didn't. So you ask why. Was it missing context? Missing a tool? Wrong access? You fix that one thing, a prompt, a tool, a skill file, and the whole workflow starts landing. Benchmarks compare models. Traces fix your system. Rule 7: start where failure is cheap and success is a number. Rahul's first real test of a new model wasn't a product feature. It was CI, the testing suite. Nothing customer facing, empirically verifiable. And they ran the agent's version in shadow mode for weeks, right next to the old system, before trusting it. Find the corner of your stack where the worst case is contained and the win is measurable. That's your entry point, not your checkout flow. And rule 8, the spicy one: no token budgets. Ramp deliberately refuses to cap what engineers spend on AI. Their logic is that if a dollar of tokens returns more than a dollar of output, minimizing cost is simply the wrong objective. When someone's spend suddenly spikes, they don't get an email from finance. They get a "what are you working on? Let's turn it into a platform." Costs get cut with defaults instead. Batch APIs and cheaper models for the automations no human is watching. Hold on to that last part because the cheap model is exactly what I used next.
Get smarter.
Yeah, I mean, so taking a step back, again, one of the things that we've tried to do is not impose limits on how many tokens or dollars each individual spends. We want them to be able to access any level of intelligence without limits.
Okay, that's their playbook on their budget. I don't have uncapped frontier access, and you probably don't either. So I took the 3 most stealable moves from this interview and ran them on a real code base, with Claude Code pointed at Sonnet, the cheaper model. Real terminal, real repo, real clock. Move 1: the exact prompt from the interview. My repo is a 14 module expense tool with 4 genuine import cycles tangled through it, approvals into policies, cards into transactions, and back again. I typed one declarative sentence: fix all our import cycles, keep all 37 tests green, and verify when you're done. No steps, no hand holding. Sonnet mapped every cycle, moved the shared logic to one side of each loop without changing a single public API, reran the checker, 0 cycles, and all 37 tests still green. 6 minutes and 59 seconds, start to finish, on the cheap model. Move 2: Ramp's CI trick scaled to my laptop. My test suite ran in 82 seconds and I had no idea why it was slow, which is exactly when you don't use a loop, you use a workflow. One sentence: use a workflow. Make this test suite faster without changing behavior. Claude planned the attack, spun up 3 subagents in isolated copies of the repo, raced 3 different fixes against each other, and kept the winner. It found the real culprit. The tests were rebuilding a database with 8,000 disk writes before every single test, and rewrote just that. Same 37 tests, same data. From 82 seconds down to about 3. 27 times faster, and it reran the suite 3 times itself to prove the number was stable. And move 3, Boris's babysitter pattern, at home. I typed /loop, find and delete dead code, run the tests after every deletion, commit only what stays green. Then I did nothing. The loop found an unused helper function, deleted it, ran all 37 tests in under 3 seconds, thanks to move 2, and committed. Then it found another one and did it again. 2 clean commits, 0 of my attention. And here's the part that sold me. It scheduled its own next pass for 25 minutes later. The same self-scheduling trick Ramp's workflow used on their CI. That's not a chatbot anymore. That's an employee. Here's your exact on-ramp for tonight. Step 1. Pick the one task you repeat every single day. Reviewing pull requests, fixing CI, chasing dead code, and put it in a loop. Step 2. Pick one problem that's annoying but safe, like your test suite, and hand it to a workflow with a single declarative sentence. Step 3. Before any agent touches a real system, make the key read only. That's the whole Ramp playbook in miniature. One loop, one workflow, one guardrail, on whatever model you can afford. Real talk. 90% of you watching haven't subscribed. On Facebook, subscribe is the supporter button. That is what keeps the lights on here. On YouTube, it's free and it tells the algorithm to send you more. Subscribe to support us. I wrote this whole system up as the Ramp playbook, all 8 rules. The 3 demos with the exact prompts I used, and the guardrail checklist as a free PDF. Comment the word Ramp and my bot sends it straight to you. Or grab it at hyperautomationlabs.co/free/ramp. And if you're just getting started, my paid beginner guides are linked below. The complete Claude Code guide, the OpenAI Codex guide, the Claude Cowork sales guide, and the Claude Architect Prep Kit. They take you from an empty terminal to your first working agent. A $44 billion company looked at AI agents and decided the risky move was waiting. Half their merged code later, they were right. The rules are on your screen. The demos ran on the cheap model, and your repo is sitting right there. So the next time something breaks in your code base, don't open the file. Type one declarative sentence and walk away. The builds behind these videos live on Instagram at hyperautomation labs. See you in the next one.